having a public hearing, but first we need to consider the approval of the minutes of May 10th, 2019. I assume you've had a chance to read them. Are there any questions or changes or a motion to approve them?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of May 10th, 2019 as submitted.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor state aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. Now, we will open our public hearing.
Yes, ma'am. After staff introduction of the case, then you can open it to public hearing for anyone
Okay.
who'd like to speak for or against the item. This is HO case 2019-001. The applicant is Agatha Moreland. Is that correct, Moreland? Agatha. I'm so sorry. Agatha Moreland. I knew I was saying something wrong. It just didn't feel right. She is requesting that the property be included in the historic overlay on behalf of the property owner Southwest Region Conference of SDA. And this is the property that we previously started the public hearing on and then realized that we didn't have a quorum, so we abruptly stopped. Our city ordinance, section 50-130, criteria for designation of a property under historic overlay, lists 6 different categories in which you can apply. The applicant, after visiting with our city staff, decided to apply under the 3rd section, which is associated with the lives of persons significant to the city's past. In this case, all of the supporting documentation has been included in your packet, so I'm not going to read those 3 or 4 pages for you, Chairman, but it is on behalf of Mr. Jesse Mayfield, is the person who is significant to the city's historic past. City ordinance requires that at least one of these criteria be met in order for designation under historic overlay to be approved. You have the option to say, yes, this meets section 3, or no, it does not. Either way you vote, it moves on to the next step. And the next step is a public hearing with the Planning and Zoning Commission. And then once we get the recommendation from Historic Landmark Preservation and Planning and Zoning, then I will carry both of those recommendations on to City Council. City Council has the final say as to whether it is incorporated or not under historic overlay. So the next meeting is June 10th for Planning and Zoning, and then June 18th for City Council. And then Chairman, you can open it for public comment, public hearing.
Okay. At this time, we open the forum to public comment. Are there any comments up here that would like to?
You have to close the public hearing.
Okay. Well, if there are no comments, I will close the public hearing on this overlay application. And now, do I hear a motion to approve this on the criteria number 3 is associated with the lives of persons significant in the city's past? Do I hear a motion to approve on that criteria?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve HO 2019-001. It certainly meets number 3 and probably could be argued to meet number 2 on religious history, so
I think so too.
there we go.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor state aye, please. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you, it passes. And I'm just curious, so the church itself was built approximately 1949. Would that be approximately right?
Yes.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And Mr. Jesse Mayfield's history goes much farther back
Yes.
than that building
Yes.
itself. Obviously, you have to have some physical lot to designate, and so that's why the church, even though his history goes well beyond that.
Yes. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Okay.
Tell me my story when we get done.
Hello.
How are y'all?
Just fine.
Good. Oh, I have a handout.
We love handouts.
So I have not had the pleasure to meet you all, but I'm Amy Mahaffey, and I'm our Main Street and Communications Director here at the city. And I come hang out with y'all every now and then to watch what's going on downtown, and also share with you some things that we are adding from a beautification standpoint. I'm very excited to come and kind of give y'all an update on some projects we've been working on for a while in regards to murals and wayfinding signs in downtown. What you are looking at here is a call to artists that went out. Went out in early April, and we got a lot of really great responses. And part of the reason we wanted to do this was to really try to find some local artists that were passionate about public art. And we're very excited to say that we found Amanda, who actually just walked in. Hello. To say that we have chosen her on a small committee of 3. I was not a voting member of that committee, but I did help facilitate through the artist proposals. We got 5 really valuable proposals. Amanda's quickly floated to the top. She has some really awesome experience. This is a mural she created in Austin. And I will say this as well. The artists that came to us, we have 2 that we were really interested in visiting with, but they gave us what one of the committee members called art that they thought we wanted, not art that was true to their artistic talent. And so we got a lot of duplications of what you would see on Mr. Johnson's mural, Caddo Indians and historic buildings in downtown, and we really wanted something different and fresh and new for downtown. And so this is a conceptual mock-up of what you will see on the side of the Gifts and Greeks buildings. Right now we are looking at getting that building cleaned and prepped and primed and ready to go, and we're going to visit with the building owner about she's open to boarding over those windows to add to the design. And so Amanda's really excited. She has roots here in Nacogdoches, and she's here after if y'all want to visit with her. And so this will be a really great thing. That wall is in a great location. It's right down here off Pecan Street. Not a lot of fast-moving cars, so if people want to take pictures or come look at the mural up close, that'll be a really safe place for people to do that. And then the committee really liked this almost mini murals, as you see this division with the typography, and so she is going to concoct us something really beautiful for downtown that's true to Nacogdoches. And then I'm also here if y'all don't have any questions about the mural. I'm going to move on to wayfinding signs.
Go ahead. Questions?
Okay.
All right, so this might be for regular staff. This is zoned historic?
I'm sorry?
This is zoned historic?
Yes, it's within the downtown.
Okay. So, is this a previously painted wall?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you're talking about boarding up these buildings on this side that you're showing us here?
Potentially the windows.
Okay.
And we also talked about, since the design's still kind of in flux, making the windows part of the design. So,
Yeah. Well, I would say
You would say what?
I would not be approved covering up windows. It would change the building.
okay.
Because you're and altering the building, we wouldn't approve boarding up windows or anything else.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that you'll be working with historic sites on appropriate means of priming and prepping and cleaning?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Our historic sites folks actually cleaned it once in November, did some light pressure washing, and then we're working on getting the proper primer so that we've got a really good quality product for you all.
And if the building hasn't been painted, I've heard talk of maybe, like say angel wings or something, but being done on plywood or whatever, and then on the building, so that then once that was removed, that if the brick had never been painted, then it wouldn't hurt anything. Do you know anything about that?
In regards to this particular location?
I thought it was in regards to the downtown mural project, but it might have been someone just talking about wishes.
I know that there was a little wish list of something about wings, but I don't know that that was
That might
really
be
the
what I
direction
heard.
this committee wanted to go in. Yes, ma'am.
And I thought that sounded like a good idea.
Yes, yes.
Any other questions? Oh, let me ask, these, I've never been in that building before. Are those windows open to the inside of the building?
I'm not completely sure. I've never been actually
I'm
able to
just
get back
wondering
there.
Because they look so low, I was wondering if the building itself on the inside.
They use that back part of the building for storage, and so I'm not entirely sure. They're working on redoing that store right now and the layout of the store, and so that may change. But I don't know that since those windows are so low that they actually are functional windows. As you can see, they're covered from the inside, just because that's their storage space in that
Right.
building. So, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Would y'all like to hear from the artist? She's here as well to say hello. If
You
Would like
bet.
to hear from the artist?
Yes.
Thank you for having me. I'm Amanda Raby. I just moved back to Nacogdoches a few weeks ago, and it was kind of a chance that by chance that I heard about this mural opportunity. So my family has deep roots in Nacogdoches. The angel in the cemetery is my great-great-great-grandfather's, and so I'm seventh generation daughter of the Republic. And it's a real honor to be able to do this mural because I have such deep roots in this town. My history as a designer, I went to art school back in '98, and I've been doing commercial design with ad agencies and freelancing for the last 7 years. So yeah, I've been doing art direction and creative direction for a while. My focus is primarily branding, and I love typography. So this particular project, knowing that this is a historic building, I'm definitely going to keep that in mind. I've already started rendering some custom typographic fonts for Nacogdoches that are sort of a throwback to the Victorian era, but I also want to keep it modern and fun, so we'll do an interesting fusion of the two. And I'm also, since the design is being conceived at the moment, I'm open to feedback on any specific hallmarks that you guys might want to see integrated. Since we'll be using it as a photo op for a lot of people, I know it's near the water park, I want to keep it in smaller chunks, you know, so that you can stand there and have the graphics around you. So I think that'll lend itself to having lots of diverse content. So any feedback that you guys might want to give, I know Amy would be happy to translate. But
I was wondering about the photo op opportunities, yeah. Because I know a lot of people, they want a mural to have that there, yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah, so tell me, what are you envisioning in terms of inspiration for this? I'm just curious.
well, in a similar way to this, the previous design is very typographic heavy. I want to use lots of typographic words, mostly Nacogdoches, oldest town in Texas, with a custom font, but then also add in a few other key words like Irion Hill. What you said, it was Orton Hill, I think. Okay. And maybe some keywords like Shady Acres, Woodhaven. I want to have illustrate the diversity of Nacogdoches and have some people of multiple cultures, maybe holding hands and dancing. Very graphic, but also sort of turn of the century romance. Definitely have some pine trees, maybe a Christmas tree farm, azaleas, blueberries, you know, the hallmarks of Nacogdoches, maybe some cardinals, and maybe a chainsaw. I wouldn't be opposed to throwing in a little humor in there as well. So
I like the looks of that, that's really nice.
thank you. The direction this client gave me was to make it kind of mid-century modern. throwback, which I love that era.
It exactly is, yeah.
My portfolio has a lot of that aesthetic in it, but I'm also a big fan of Victorian typography, because those were the days before they were just mainly using letterpresses and illustrations. So you would see a lot of custom fonts in that era. And so I want to take that, but also bring it into modern day and integrate some graphics there. So, yeah.
Sounds good. Any comments, any questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So I will jump in to our wayfinding sign discussion. This is purely a mock-up and kind of much like the previous presentation, just kind of an FYI for you all. We, as you know, and this was, I guess, several years ago now, looked at changing the faces on some of the hanging signs from the light poles downtown. And so as they are today, they have SFA, the city's logo, and the CVB's logo on them. There are a lot of these brackets that you see at the top and the bottom of these signs that are actually unused downtown that we have. When you walk out this door, you'll see a handicap sign on one, and the bracket is just sitting without a signage underneath it on the other. And in the spirit of trying to expand our downtown footprint, I'm really happy to say that we've had more retail spaces open up downtown. The Fredonia Hotel has changed the traffic patterns of our downtown quite a bit, and new restaurants coming into downtown, as you all have experienced and can imagine, really changes the way that people explore our historic district. And so with that became this conversation on the Main Street Advisory Board to help people get down what we call the side streets. And so Church Street's a great example. Macy May, Julia's Salon, all of those really great shops down that street. Salon Haven now, yes, that's right. They are sometimes, it sounds silly to us who live here, but as a visitor, they're hard to find because you see the main drag of Main Street and you think, well, that's it. And we really want to help point some folks down the other directions. We also have Monograms on Main, a new coffee shop. House of Photography has expanded their offerings, and there are just a lot of really great other spaces in downtown that are not on Main Street. And so this is kind of a concept Laura Culpepper helped us come up with. This is supposed to mirror and kind of mimic not only the signs that we already have downtown, since this is just a face change, but also mimic the signage that's in Oak Grove Cemetery. It's not exactly the same, but we tried to stay within the same colors, this really simple fonts, and then utilize the brackets that we already have. And so this is just kind of a look at what this could be. We are working with a local sign company, Signorama, now to flesh out all of the wording and to make sure the locations are just right. But this is kind of just a conceptual idea for you all to look at and ask any questions, and we can certainly take any feedback that you give us and put into practice. So happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Comments?
Sorry, I'm just trying to read it.
I know.
My eyes aren't that
Understand.
good, so I'm struggling to come
I
up with the
think
words.
I think it's a great idea. I really do.
So I'm assuming that all of these can be interchanged, so when one business go out?
Yes,
and then-
Right.
and I appreciate you asking that. We talked a lot about the signs you see now, putting vinyl lettering on those signs, but as we've visited more with our sign contractor, they have assured me that this concept is actually a lot easier to flip out one side and put another in, or to even just take the vinyl off. And so these will actually be powder coated with the same color as the light poles, and then vinyl lettering. And so if somebody does go out of business, or if somebody decides to relocate, we just had a business on Church Street move to the Main Street. If things like that happen, then it'll be really easy for them to come out and switch out, and really, really affordable, because that vinyl lettering is super affordable for us to maintain long term.
I've wondered why some of those brackets were.
I know. Yeah, we drove around and looked on Friday to count up the ones to have them move them to the right locations, and it's amazing when you start looking how many aren't utilized. And so I figure we have them, and this would be a great use for them.
So you're essentially gonna relocate and reorient all the signs, so poles that have signs may not have signs, or
I don't think we're gonna have to relocate any existing signs. We have enough, I believe, don't quote me on that, but I think when we counted on Friday, there were 11 brackets that weren't being utilized that we
But
can
you might move
utilize.
those around.
Yes. And so a great location example would be right here at Pecan and Main Street to point people to Dolly's Diner, Red House Winery, and then the backside of the square where we are here. So that will kind of give you all an idea. But they'll go on existing poles. We may have to grab a couple to be at the bottom bracket because so the signs aren't swinging. But we're trying to have as little visual disruption as possible because I also like the other signs that y'all looked at a few years ago. So that's what we have.
I'm assuming also this is something that you'd be able to, I'm just thinking if you're driving up on South Street North, and then as you turn, you'd have right there by the winery, you could have a sign at some point in the future there, I'm assuming as well.
Sure.
And other locations
Yes.
pointing in if that became helpful.
Yes, that's a great idea. And we have structured these and the size of the signage to be more targeted toward pedestrians, but the infrastructure is there with these signs that have been up for many years to go beyond that into what you're talking about in the future.
Well, that's
if we
helpful
need
then,
to.
so there are more pedestrian signs, that's helpful.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Awesome. Thank y'all for your time.
Very good idea. Thank you. Well, it is wonderful to see things bubbling and perking and growing in our city. I'm very proud of everything that's going on. Thank you very much for coming, and this meeting is at an end.
So we were on a big trip with the students, and we were in Fredericksburg, and hotel. It's like, he got snatched, you have a twin brother running a hotel.
Oh, I
in
didn't.
Fredericksburg.
Okay, well, there we go.